Here's an update from yesterday. After I posted the raw and vulnerable video, I had more reaction. There was more crying and more anxiety, and maybe even a bit more ugly crying in the shower. And then I started to have second thoughts about what I shared. I kept logging in to take it down, and finally I decided to just leave it alone and let it be what it was, which led to a really odd mix of feelings. On the one hand, it was anxiety-inducing because it was very real for me. I was sharing much more real and honest emotion than I had in the videos before. On the other hand, it was quite freeing to be so open. Where I landed was resisting the urge to take it down and giving myself all night to just be in my feelings. Every time I started to question the wisdom of feeling bad, or the validity of feeling bad, or the consequences of feeling bad and being open about it, I challenged that notion really hard. There's a certain amount of toxic masculinity involved, that's for sure. Yes, even gay guys, and maybe especially gay guys, are just as prone to toxic masculinity as any cis-het cretin you're picturing when that phrase comes to mind. But then I realized it's also about toxic professionalism. Yes, probably another term that I'm making up. I make my living in a field where we project this austere image of togetherness and unflappability. And that shit ain't real. I also don't get to share much because therapy is about the person in front of me. It's not about me. I'm not one of those therapists who particularly enjoys or engages in self-disclosure. I know there are times where it's appropriate and it can be very helpful. But I think 99% of the time, any therapist self-disclosure in session is probably a little bit self-serving. And when I get home at the end of the day, I don't share my shit with other people. I've talked about that. It's part of the struggle in my relationship, that compartmentalization, the way I can just flip it off. So I gotta say, it was quite freeing last night to just let it out. Of course, it helped to get a lovely email of support at 2:51 in the morning, US Central Standard Time. I didn't see it as it came through because by that point I was actually asleep. But when I woke up 2 hours later, it was just as refreshing and pleasantly activating as that first cup of coffee. So I'm pretty thankful for that. I got kind of lucky this morning when my scheduled psychological evaluation was a no-show. That's pretty rare for me, but this morning I was very much okay with it because it gave me time to refocus. After that cathartic emotional release yesterday, both in the video and crying in the shower, ugly crying, snot running down my face, going through a box of Kleenex, I felt ready to shift gears and work on something, but it couldn't be anything too heavy. As I was reflecting on everything I'd shared so far and experiencing immense gratitude from a message of support that was followed by others throughout the day, I realized something I haven't shared yet is my approach to gratitude and how that usually helps me stay centered, or at least more positive. There is some important psychology to gratitude. At its core, it's probably best thought of as an emotion similar to appreciation. It's happiness and thankfulness for things that are happening in your life, whether it's events or people's presence or tangible gifts. What I find interesting about gratitude is that it's both a state and a trait. When we experience gratitude as a state, it's in response to something specific, maybe receiving a wedding gift or flowers on an anniversary or somebody offering a compliment about some work that I've done well or winning the lottery. State concepts are about specific events or situations. Over time of experiencing states of gratitude, you can develop gratitude as a more long-term positive character trait. So people who actively express gratitude in state form are more likely to just have a gratitude mindset in general over time. It's considered a character strength, and it's enhanced with awareness and practice. How do we practice gratitude? First comes the acknowledgement of goodness in life. We look for areas where life is good, where life is worth living. Maybe that's because we received something that gratifies us, or maybe we're in a specific situation that makes life good, like a well-paying job or a strong and healthy marriage. The second part is recognizing that sources of gratitude are outside of us, not really within us. I can be grateful for a universal higher power, my boyfriend, my parents, my cat, the safety of a city where I live, the education I received from others, the recognition and support of an email at 2:51 in the morning. Things that are not from my immediate doing. Yes, sometimes my behavior is a factor. I chose to go to school and get an education, but the education was bestowed upon me by others. Yes, I chose a career that affords me a comfortable home in a nice area, but I have clients who trust me and see value in what I do. So first I acknowledge the thing, then I acknowledge that I am not the source of the thing. And that helps me to recognize the goodness that is in my life and how it came to be there. There are lots of ways to practice gratitude. Some people do it through prayer or meditation. Some people have lists of things that they give thanks for every day. Others use apps on their phones or their computers. Journaling also works. For me, I like to use a daily gratitude journal. The one I prefer is the 5-minute gratitude journal. Give thanks, practice positivity, find joy. It was created by Dr. Sophia Godkin. She is a health psychologist who used her own life experiences and challenges to understand the link between her mindset and her happiness. The more dissatisfied or unappreciative she was, the more difficult it was to access positive emotions. Also, as a health psychologist, she clearly understands the mind-body connection and how healthier minds can encourage better physical health and well-being. So she created this journal with insightful prompts that only take a few minutes to complete. After a while, you really do start to notice and feel grateful for things, big and small, that you might otherwise have taken for granted. Every day for me includes journaling. This is one of 4 journals that I use. I'll talk more about journaling as a tool on another day. What I love about this one is that it really is quick and easy. It really is 5 minutes or less each day. The prompts make it easy to identify opportunities for gratitude, like the one I did this morning. Each day's sheet begins with an inspirational quote, and sometimes that quote actually gets me to thinking about other areas of gratitude besides the questions on the page. So the first question today was, someone or something that makes me smile like a kid again is my son. His laugh is just so fun and so joyous. I have dozens, maybe at this point hundreds of recordings of his laugh because every time he laughs, it just makes me smile. The second prompt, one clear reason to appreciate the person I've become, is because I am no longer a fearful anger ball. In the past, I was actually a really angry person. I responded to a lot of things with anger and hostility. I was afraid of so many things in life because they were just things that were beyond my control. I didn't have a lot of control over those things. So my reaction when I would get frustrated or scared was anger. I am really glad I am not that person anymore. The third prompt, something I can experience or imagine that inspires me, is planning for a life with my future husband in New York City. New York City is my favorite place to visit. I love the energy of it. I love the history of it. There's something about walking those streets and just being part of the energy of that city that makes me really happy. And it's always been my goal to live there someday. So I'm thinking, a few years down the road, I don't know how many years, but some years down the road of living there. And yeah, I want that with my boyfriend. Though hopefully at that point he won't just be my boyfriend. So it really makes me happy to imagine that. It's very inspirational and motivating for me. The last prompt, a little kind thing someone did that meant a lot to me, was my friend Kimberly bringing me a shirt from her Colorado travels. She travels a lot and she's a really interesting gift giver because she knows what people like and she finds things that you just don't always find all the time. So one was a particular shirt and then there was a particular sweatshirt that I cannot always wear in public because it's exactly like something I would say, but could be a little offensive to some people. It was really a sweet, small, meaningful gesture to me to know that while she was traveling, she saw something and she thought of me. That really did mean a lot to me. This day's activity had 4 prompts. Took me less than 5 minutes, And it really gives me an opportunity to think about, how would I want to express this? What does this mean to me? I always feel better about life and really about myself after I do this journaling exercise. I get a nice reminder during this unconventional intensive treatment approach about all the things that are right in my life and all the opportunities I have to practice gratitude. A nice thing about this journal is it also helps me identify opportunities to genuinely express gratitude for what others add to my life. And who wouldn't like that? This journal is one tool. There are lots of ways to recognize, acknowledge, and practice gratitude. This is one of the tools that helps me stay in that mindset. And why that's important to me as I'm going through this exercise, this experience, this life-changing, hopefully life-changing, unconventional intensive treatment approach, I have not always been the best about expressing gratitude. So even when I'm able to recognize it, even when I'm able to see what it is and what it means to me, I have not always been the best about sharing that with people. And sometimes that can leave people feeling like I don't have that gratitude, or that I don't appreciate the things that they bring to my life or the things that they do. And that's simply not true. But like so many other emotional responses, I have compartmentalized gratitude and put it on this little shelf. And it's a thing I walk up to the bookshelf, I can scan it and see it and go, oh, isn't that lovely? And I'm the only one who sees it. That's got to be really hard for some of the people in my life who are very, very important people to me, and they don't always know it. A big takeaway for me with this today is a reminder to practice gracious gratitude and tell somebody every day some expression of thanks about what they bring to my life. That's where I'm at today. I'll be back tomorrow.